Yo, what's good, everybody? GZTV, and as you know, I go through these TV shows. I'm sorry if that core on the light in the background distracts you guys. I wish I could hide that, but it kind of illuminated. So yeah, we got the sixth episode of season 2 of The Boys. I'm steadily getting through this series. I don't want it to end necessarily. I am enjoying the action. But we watch about an episode a day. We come back on the YouTube, give you guys my thoughts and reviews. This is a very critically acclaimed, one of Amazon Prime's best series, in my opinion. I haven't watched too many series exclusive to that platform, but yeah, it's a good one. The Bloody Doors Off, is what this episode is called. Episode 6, The Boys Season 2, serves up a fantastic episode full of action, drama, and big revelations, so kind of a mix of everything. This episode's really good. It is one of my favorite episodes in the series. So much happened, so many badass things. I was indulged in it. It was fucking awesome. Into it for the whole episode. Can't wait to what happens. Season 2 is way better than Season 1 right now. Season 1 is like the OG. It kind of builds this story, so you can't take that away from it necessarily, but interspersed around all of this are a series of flashbacks involving Frenchie, so that's cool, kind of seeing Frenchie's character development, kind of seeing how his story goes, what his life was like, how he started in this business kind of with Butcher. So it's really cool to see, specifically what happened to him 8 years ago. He built an explosive while leading a team, so he led the team with Butcher pretty much. It was honestly more push that Butcher was the leader, but Frenchie was the big guy on the team. Only things go wrong when he shows up in a police station and facing jail time, unless he decides to work for the FBI. So he decides to take it. He moves to Butcher's side of things, and yeah. It soon becomes apparent that Frenchie and the others tried to strike a deal with the Lamplighter, but things went sideways. They wanted him to join their kind of mini FBI team, their side squad, type thing. When he walks away, Frenchie is tasked to follow the man, which leads up to the incident involving the kids being killed. So yeah. This catches us up to the present as Frenchie works to remove the tracking chip from Starlight's neck. So a nice little intro there, nice little thing that the directors did with a nice little creative touch to it. Give us a little bit of what happened, how Frenchie got here, because we didn't really know Frenchie's origin story. We knew a little bit about Butcher more, a tiny bit about Huey, that he was like this superhero fanatic. All of a sudden his girlfriend gets blasted away by a high-speed knockoff of the Flash or Quicksilver, whatever. And then he's not happy with them anymore. So that's kind of his situation. Stormfront and Homelander, anyway, work together after their passionate session to catch a criminal in the street. Their love is getting in the way of a lot of things, and I'm not sure what this is going to lead to, but yeah, it's kind of a crazy thing. Stormfront goads the powerful Soup to kill him before they hook up together. So Homelander smashes his face, and there are some pretty brutal scenes in this show, by the way. If you're not a big fan of gore, I wouldn't necessarily watch this show at all, but it's awesome. What can I say? I'm not a huge fan of gore, but I think it's pretty badass, some of the kills that people put in movies. So as they take to the cameras and begin flirting sometime later, Butcher and the rest of the group watch the news, so they're kind of cluing everyone in that, hey, we're a thing now. We're starting to become a thing. We're starting to fall in love with each other. We're starting to get this intimate relationship. Together, they realize in dread that the duo are sleeping together, and it's kind of horrific. You wouldn't think that Homelander and Stormfront were sleeping together, but that's the big reveal to the group and everybody else watching on TV. So, Starlight arrives in the basement and tells them about the psychiatric ward linked to Stan Edgar. So Stan Edgar kind of has a psychiatric ward where he treats what do we call it? Delinquents. He treats troubled soups pretty much that try to become terrorists, but he wants them to become part of the Vought so he can have this super army, that type of thing. So Butcher decides to follow up on this lead and tells Starlight she's coming too. So Butcher's starting to come around to the soups. He's like, okay, maybe she's on our side, maybe she wants to help. Let's head over to the psychiatric ward, and shit goes down. I love what happened at the psychiatric ward. It was fucking awesome. You see, spoiler alert, obviously, because I'm revealing the whole plot. This guy right here, Lamplighter, makes a pretty big appearance, and he has some pretty big roles and stuff. It's so cool seeing the different creative powers in this show, guys puking acid, guys with I'm not even going to say one of them. It's kind of gross. Mother's Milk suffers to the wrath of it. Obviously, Lamplighter being able to breathe fire pretty much. Kimiko being like super strong and quick and angry, kind of like a Hulk without the muscles. They're so unique. Starlight being able to light up a room and blast people with stuff. Really cool. What are some other ones? A girl being able to, like, with one little like this and just fucking smash someone's head in like a Thanos character. My god, there's some really cool powers showcased, and the directors put some really creative things into this. I can't think of what else. There's a who knows. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. If everything goes sideways, and then she's the one Vought are likely to go after, so kind of a scapegoat. Butcher's going to use Starlight as a scapegoat. Deep meets Maeve privately before heading back out on set and seeing A-Train, so the Deep is kind of making appearances in the Seven's business ventures. He offers his condolences for the expulsion, and it's clear he wants A-Train on his side, so maybe after these two have been pushed out of the Seven, they can work together. After all, Deep knows all about being kicked out of the Seven, of course. He invites him along to the church and concocts a story about wanting to kill A-Train. As the two share home truths, the head of the church, Alistar, promises to get him back in the Seven. So Alistar, whatever you want to call him, he's been on many commercials. He's made many appearances in this show. He's like, I can get you back in the Seven. So Homelander loses his temper when Stormfront fails to show up. Like, he has some flowers for her and everything. He wants it very romantic. Given he left flowers for her, obviously, he slowly starts to realize she may be manipulating him and feels like a fool. He might have been ghosted. When she eventually does show up, not long after Homelander destroys his trailer, in a fit of rage, he threatens her. He says, "Oh, it's just electric fire. Homelander, you're an evil piece of shit. We know how anger can get to you." Donning disguises, the group arrive at Sage Grove ready to put their plan into action. So they work as like the psychiatric ward workers and stuff like that. It's a disguise. Butcher lies with the sniper watching from afar as Kimiko, and Frenchie break into the facility. So these are the ground guys. They're going in. They're getting intel. Outside, Butcher and Starlight's issues continue to spill over while Huey watches helplessly as this fight plays out. Huey wants to stop them. He's like, man, we cannot be fighting each other. We cannot be having these inner conflicts. Like, we have to resolve things. We have to work as a team. Yeah. Only this is quickly broken up by Stormfront showing up and putting a massive spanner in the works. So Stormfront shows up to the facility to kind of check on some of the clients, some of the possible candidates to join the Seven. It turns out Sage Grove plays host to numerous different soups with different abilities. We know this. As Kimiko watches, Stormfront shows up and speaks to a soup named Tim about his powers. He asks to go home, but Stormfront is having none of it. You must stay here, you must develop your powers. Only this happens to be Lamplighter in disguise, which Frenchie notices and struggles to keep his composure because Frenchie does not like Lamplighter. Obviously, with his past shown in the beginning of this episode, he has a grudge against him. So yeah, things quickly go from bad to worse when Lamplight's power blows a hole in one of the doors, holding a powerful soup called Cindy. Cindy is the one where she can destroy people with a single touch, and she releases all the soup from containment using her telepathic powers. I mean, Cindy, I'm sure she's caused a lot of problems in this facility. Forced to work with Lamplighter, so they kind of find Lamplighter and they're like, dude, we gotta work together. The group, and I like how Frenchie gets over their grudge to do this. The group hold up inside the security rooms. The place is overrun by maniacal superheroes. It's kind of crazy. It's here Frenchie learns that Lamplighter wasn't actually aware that the children would be in the pit that night. He thought it was Frenchie's boss, and all of this was an accident. So they kind of have confessionals. As we soon find out, Frenchie's friend died of an overdose sometime later, and he's been living in regret ever since. Outside, a soup escapes and uses his shockwave power to knock Huey, Butcher, and Starlight back. One of the many powers that these superheroes could have is shockwave. It's cool. Unfortunately, given Huey was inside the car, he ends up injured, and Butcher rushes to find a car to take him there. So he's slowly bleeding out. He's dying. He's fighting for his life. As he and Starlight march through the woods, they try to commandeering a car, but the owner brandishes a gun and believes it's a scam. Okay. With time running out, Starlight eventually uses his powers to knock him down before hitting the road, leaving the bloody man behind and taking Huey to the hospital. So we gotta assume that guy dies. And Starlight feels really bad for it. She wants to help him up and stuff, but no, you can't be a hero right now. Back inside, the group work together to try to escape the facility. However, Stormfront returns and throws a serious dent in their plans, so they gotta kind of hide from her when she gets in the facility. She calls out for a lamplighter after destroying the telekinetic soups standing in her way. He vouches for them, though, and allows the group to escape in one piece. So he clutches up. He's like, I will clean this up. Do not worry about it. Once there, Frenchie apologizes to Kimiko for trying to save her as a way of absolving his own sins. So, like, he feels bad about his friend ODing. He doesn't want anything bad to happen to another close friend of his. So, yeah. Meanwhile, Maeve shows Elena footage she has of the plane crash to use against Homelander. So, yeah, they're trying to expose Homelander for leaving people behind. Homelander, however, has his own vendetta against Stormfront. He confronts her and demands she tell him the truth. Eventually, she does that, and it turns out she was born in 1919 and watched her daughter die of Alzheimer's. So she really starts to reveal her truths that the villains know. The villains. I put that in quotations every time. It turns out she was the first superhero in successful Vought experiment. She tells him that the races are grinding them down and they need to lead an army into an uprising. So Homelander kind of figures out why she's trying to take control of things, because she is like the OG. She knows how to run the show. She has experience. She wants him to lead them into battle. After some thinking, he eventually kisses her, which seems to be code for, yes, I will work with you and I will obey you because you are older than me and you've been doing this longer. Unfortunately, things could turn sour when Cindy, the telekinetic soup from Sage Grove, survives and manages to hitch a ride to town. So this is going to be a developing story. Cindy causing havoc. I mean, I love that. After several slower episodes, I wouldn't say they're slow, but they were slower than this one. The Boys delivers a truly magnificent dose of drama, one of the better episodes in a while. There's action, big revelations, and plenty of subplots finally coming to light and giving good payoffs. Learning more about what happened to Frenchie in the past is a nice inclusion, and it's backed up by equally strong motivations for both Maeve and Starlight. On top of that, the entire segment involving Sage Grove really shows the variety of soups. Again, that's what I liked as well. The visceral, bloody action really helps sell the power these adopt and showcase some of the more bizarre powers. It seems obvious now that this is supposed to be Stormfront's army and that she manages it. She's the one in charge of it. Her regenerative powers mean she's more powerful than Homelander and potentially the worst one out of the bunch. So she knows exactly how to manipulate people, and her hold over Starlight could prove to be costly for the rebellion later on down the line. Quite how anyone is going to stop her remains to be seen. So for now, though, the Boys bow out with a really great episode and easily one of the highlights of the entire 2-season run. So one of the better episodes so far. So I really like it. Anyways, that is going to do it. I'm out. I gotta take a break. My God.